Hello and welcome to the official media partner of the Fountain Hill Stickball Classic. You're watching the Durson Network. I'm Ryan Anderson, your host. Our special guest today, director of the Fountain Hill Stickball Classic, Alex Beck. Alex, thanks for joining us once again.
How's it going, Ryan? It's the best time of the year. We're back. It's
That's
crazy
it.
how quickly it comes around again.
It is. It's very exciting. I see everybody changing their profile pictures on Facebook to their Fountain Hill Classic pictures. So everybody's excited. What year are we at now? How many classics have we had?
This would be the 14th year, but the 13th classic.
True. COVID year.
COVID year. Yep.
So 13 years of the tournament. This is the 14th annual Stickball Classic. A lot of favorite teams. We're going to do the bracket reveal here quick. I want to shout out a couple of the sponsors, and we're going to be shouting out the sponsors as we go. First, I want to give a shout out to the teams that sponsored BF Brown, the Goose, three-time champions, MFS sponsored. Talk about these teams who were able to sponsor this year, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, every year, I think this year has been the largest in terms of gold sponsors that we received from those that follow the Classic. But you always have your two, BF Brown, the Charlie Browners and the BF Brown. They always come out every year. The MFS, franchise, Stickball franchise. They're always coming out every year. They support the Goose with the Goosemen, and a couple other teams have some sponsors that are carrying them this year. They don't necessarily have those those sponsors in their team names, but
yeah, we're gonna go through the gold sponsors here. We're gonna go down the list. Airlie Point Yacht Charters, Bikers Against Bullies, Chop Fin Rolls and Bowls, Fiesta Pizza, Hanover Township Memorial Golf Tournament, Iron City Construction, Liberty Abstract Company, Party Tents by Marty, Primo Hoagies, Shabam Associates LLC, The Goose, MFS, we just talked about, and Steel Pub. So as Alex said, a record number of sponsors. We have more. We'll talk about those more throughout the show. But let's get to what everybody clicked on this link for, Alex. We're going to reveal the bracket for the 2022 Fountain Hill Stickball Classic. And here it is. First matchup. We're going to take a look at the 9 a.m. matchup at the Fountain Hill Park between Basic Pitches and Magoo's. This feels like an annual matchup if I've ever seen one. I can speak from a little experience with the Magoo's. I know them fairly well. We're not related at all, but they struggle a little bit, but they do have some, I think they've acquired some baseball talent, believe it or not. So they could be a favorite in that matchup against the Basic Pitches, but the Basic Pitches always come out and have a good time. On the other side of the bracket, talk to me about this matchup, Alex. BF Brown versus the Bad News Bears, 9 a.m. Holy Child matchup.
Yeah, so BF Brown made quite some noise last year in the Classic, taking out us, actually, the Hillers, in the second round and advancing to their first Final Four. So we obviously look for them to build on their year last year and get back to that Final Four and see if they can get past the two-time defending and three-time total MFS. Who we all assume, makes it to that Final Four every year. But we're excited to add a different Final Four team in there. We always split the Final Four up from the previous year in the bracket. So, the two top and the two bottom teams listed in the bracket are always Final Four from the previous year. So it was interesting to be able to use them kind of as another fourth anchor there for, the bracket purposes.
Absolutely. I know everybody's looking at this bracket, looking at your team and your first matchup and padding or charting your map towards the championship round. But Alex, talk to me. You mentioned it, putting this bracket together. You talked about the logic behind some of those top teams from the previous years and ranking them. But how difficult is this? It's 17 teams, but how difficult is it to put together this bracket?
Yeah, I mean, every year it's the one part of the Classic that I dread. Is putting this bracket together. You always have people reaching out to me, willing to give me a couple bucks here and there to get them a nice matchup and things like that. But, we got to keep things all kosher here. So, like I said, the four top seeds are always the locks to be in the corners. Then it's really just about filling in, each slot from there and making sure that you're managing personalities of teams and and making sure that, you give the people that come out and support every year, an opportunity, to really show what they got. And really overall is not matching up teams from previous years. You always got to look at the previous year brackets and hope that, you're not doubling up anybody and things like that. But, between matching up the time frames and where everybody plays and, things like that, it always is the toughest part of the Classic and the thing that I don't look forward to at all. But, we get it done every year. We take our licks, but, it is what it is. And
it's a tough job. Somebody's got to do it.
And there is a process, and I follow it the best I can.
Oh, I believe there is 100%. So again, going back to the other side of the bracket, Magoo's basic pitches, whoever, Salisbury Falcons looks like they have, they're multiple 3-time champ, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to move their way into that 2:00 matchup at Holy Child. But the Sac Flies are taking on the Goosemen. This strikes me as an interesting matchup. Holy Child, 10 a.m. Talk to me about this game.
Yeah, the Goosemen, obviously another team that made it to the Final Four. They're really looking to crack in, to that championship game. But you can't always count Sac Flies out. They do have a couple athletes in the past that are on that team. So it's all going to be dependent on how they show up, what kind of shape they're in. If they're up and ready to go. But the Goosemen are always out for blood, and they really want to put their name into that Fountain Hill Stickball aura that comes out of it, and really solidify their spot in. Yeah,
Goosemen always competitive, but never quite make it happen. It seems like I'm not sure what they're missing. But then as we look at the 10 a.m. matchup here at Fountain Hill Park, it's the Hillers. Also, we're 3-time champs, correct?
We are 3-time champs.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong. We have 3 teams that are 3-time champs.
That is correct. We
out of
a 4-team champ though, or 4-time champ.
We don't have a 4-time champ. So this year could be the year we get a 4-time champ. But the Hillers are taking on the Leftovers. We all know about the Hillers. We got some great talent on there, led by your Alex Becht. And I have a pretty good batting average the last several years, but let's talk about the Leftovers. I've heard rumors about this team. There's been some chatter on Twitter about them, but I don't really know who they are. Who are the Leftovers?
Yeah, this isn't me, disrespecting them at all or throwing them any shade, but from what it sounds like, it's kind of like the knockoff, Familia's Finest.
The team that never makes it anyway. So we got a knockoff Familia here.
I think that there is some inside issues going on between those teams. I think that they were trying to get Familia's team all back together, that they used from the start to take one really good run at it. And I think that there was just some internal, differences that they were going through. And it sounds like, they kind of created their own team from the guys that, weren't really jiving with the Familia's Finest, and they made their own.
It's a real shame. It's a younger generation Fountain Hill squad with a lot of talent. Honestly, they should right now be a cohesive unit entering their prime, ready to be the next team to win 3 titles. But doesn't look like that's going to happen, at least not this year. And I don't see it anytime in the near future. Then we have the Charlie Browners, 12:00 matchup at Fountain Hill Playground against the CBL. Charlie Browner is always a competitive squad. I'm not too familiar with CBL. Talk to me about them.
Yeah, so CBL is actually the Liberty High School baseball team.
Oh, okay.
Who put some guys together. They came in second in the state this year, runners up in the highest ranking, level. So
CBL.
It'll be interesting to see how they do, considering, we have a lot of ex-baseball players and obviously, guys that still play, in other leagues in this tournament. And, you would think that it would transfer pretty easily. That's not always the case. So I'm interested to see kind of where they fall and how they line up in this tournament.
I'm really high on the CBL. Liberty baseball team coming off a state championship appearance. I mean, what a year. And we've seen this translate in the past. And I know you say it sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. I'm going to say more often than not, it does. We've seen it with the Salisbury Falcon, another local high school baseball team that made a run at states. and they're 3-time champs. I wouldn't be surprised to see CBL knock off Salisbury. That's going to be a great matchup. Be it Holy Child at 2 p.m. Likely matchup here between CBL and Salisbury Falcons. I would not want to miss that one. Before we hop on over to the other side of the bracket, Alex, let's talk about these other sponsors. We have Blackbird Farms, led by Kagan Allaire. Kagan, where can we find Kagan? Do you know where we can find Kagan and Blackbird Farms?
Occasionally he is at the Percy Farmers Market.
There you go.
That's the one that I hear about most. I think it's on Saturdays at 9 from 9 to 12. Most usually during this time and going into the early fall, I believe. But I've gotten some of his produce, and it's delicious. It's wonderful. He does a really good job. He's a hardworking guy. So quite a little company that he's put together there in Blackbird Farms.
Good stuff. Other sponsors include Justice Works Youth Care, Tally Ho Tavern. Everybody's familiar with the Tally Ho Sports Corner. They've been doing our jerseys, our uniforms, our T-shirts for the last 14 years. We have Zest Bar and Grill, the rooftop bar there in South Bethlehem. Moe's Pizza. Everybody knows Moe's, and they come to get it at the Fountain Hill Stickball Classic. We also have the Durson Network, which you're watching right now, the official media partner of the Fountain Hill Stickball Classic. And none other than Presley's Cocktail Bar, run by Zach Kissinger. If you have an event, you're trying to, make it a nice event with a bar, call up Zach and Presley's Cocktail Bar. All right, hopping on over to the other side of the bracket. MFS, always a competitive team against Thick Nick. That's an 11 a.m. matchup at the Fountain Hill Playground. Who you got here?
You can't go against MFS. You always want to see somebody new every year really make a run and get that championship. But sure. MFS right now is in the thick of their prime, and they are a force to be reckoned with. So I think MFS handles this one pretty easily.
I got to tell you, we have this 1 p.m. matchup between the Familia's Finest and the Fancies. I'm going to go ahead and take the Familia's Finest here, Alex. The Fancies have a lot of talent, but word is they're missing 2 big bats. I like the Fancies. It's a late start, 1 p.m. Hopefully they get a good night's sleep, and maybe they can upset Familia. I just don't see it. I like Familia moving on there. And then talk to me about this matchup here, 11 a.m. Holy Child, Sioux Street Seawolves. I can only guess who that is, against the Horned Frogs. Who are these teams?
Yeah, so Sioux Street Seawolves, they've had quite a different amount of names.
These are the old Maroons, aren't they?
Is the old Maroons, the Wiley Street Weight Buzz. They
probably got some cool hats, though. They probably got some cool hats.
I have a feeling they're going to come dressed to impress. They always like to match and look good. So, we obviously know who they are. And they're always a force to be reckoned with. If they're able to kind of keep their cool and keep their head straight, they can move their way through, this tournament, pretty good. But we always kind of see that whether it's an internal thing with them where they kind of implode as they get farther on, or, kind of the trash talk that comes from the outsides, they're from other teams, they always find a way to come up a little bit short. But if they were to, keep it together and stick together, they could make a run through this tournament, as always. And then Horned Frogs, they've had a couple different names over the years. They were Dos Equis Sexies, I think, last year. They kind of pick and choose. Austin Redding is on that team. A couple, other, Liberty High School grads in which, he was friends with. So, definitely not new to the tournament, but they always kind of, lose some guys, gain some guys. So it's hard to really, identify what that team's going to look like year in and year out.
Yeah, it's interesting with these teams. They're always changing names. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that, but I love watching the Sioux Street Seawolves. Let's see what they have this year. Now, we covered the bracket. I know that's what everybody was waiting on, but Alex, let's talk this out. We haven't discussed this pre-show or anything here, but I want to work through the bracket with you. So let's just talk through it. I'm going to go ahead and predict the CBL to come out of the Moravia region. Any disagreements there, Alex?
I mean, it's hard to take, any team against, 3-time champ Salisbury Falcons, who were in the final last year. But I think CBL is going to be tough. But I wouldn't count out Charlie Browners. They got some.
Okay. Yeah,
they have some talent on that team and a little
you're
bit.
You're talking me out of this pick, Alex, already. So I don't know. You're right. You know that they don't have that level. You talk about, sure, they're a great baseball team, and I'm sure they're very cohesive, and I bet they will put some runs on the board. But I don't know that they can match up. And maybe I'm disrespecting the Charlie Browners, and Charlie Browners, I apologize. I just don't see that. But the Falcons is where the defense of the Salisbury Falcons is really what separates them. You got Nick Pat over there at third, just chucking people out with those big muscles, and so I'm gonna go Salisbury Falcons. Can we go Salisbury? I'm gonna switch my pick. Right. We're gonna go Salisbury there. Sorry, CBL, but we're gonna go Salisbury Falcons there. The Broadway region. I don't know. Talk to me here. I'm biased. We're biased. We play for the Hillers. Do you like us to come out of this region, the Broadway region?
You can't overlook the leftovers because, again, it's the younger guys who they might be out for some blood because maybe they were looked over, for not being on Familia's finest. So they're going to come with a little chip on their shoulder. So
that's fair.
I think that if we're able to get past them, and I like the idea that we're playing maybe a tougher team in the first round this year, it might get us more prepared and in the game and ready to go for that second round. So, I think if we can win that first one, against the leftovers and come into that second round, I expect the Goosemen to come out there. I think historically we've played fairly well against the Goosemen. So I think it's really just about, putting our game together. And if we come out of that first round confident, I think that we can, kind of ride that wave against the Goosemen into the semis.
So you're picking us, the Hillers.
I think that we are going to get back to that semifinal round this year after having a weaker performance last year.
Okay. All right. So now moving on to the other side, we all like MFS. I think we can concur there. MFS to come out of the Jeter region. What about the Delaware region? Who do you see coming out of there?
I think that this might be the year that the Sioux Street Seawolves make that run to the semis. I think that, they're coming in this one, new name, they're all kind of getting a little bit older and maybe, keeping their heads a little bit more. And patience is always a virtue, right? So, I think again, they make it past the Horned Frogs, and then, they expect to play the BF Brown. Maybe, being another Fountain Hill team, they're coming for some revenge last year as BF Brown took us out, and, they want to make sure that, they're sealing their name into that semifinal bracket as well. So I do think Sioux Street Seawolves make that run this year and they get themselves to the semifinals.
So that would make a final four of the Hillers, Salisbury Falcons, MFS, and the Seawolves, which we're predicting. And 3 of those 4 teams make up for 9 of the total 14 titles. Is that correct? Or is it 13 titles?
13, yeah, 13.
So we have in the final four the Hillers, Salisbury Falcons, on the other side, MFS, and the Seawolves. 3 of these 4 teams make up 9 of the 13 total championships in Classic history. So I want to know what everybody else is thinking. Obviously, Alex, us against the Hillers in that if that happens, I'm just going to try and be objective here, and I'm going to go with Salisbury beating us. I think that they have some bats that we don't. We're missing some key talent, especially on the defensive side. Nick Johnson is not going to be out there in center field to track down those fly balls. And I just don't know that we have the level of support from a defensive standpoint to match up against Salisbury. So I'm going to go with Salisbury. You probably disagree, but that's okay. We'll move on. Who do you like between MFS and Seawolves? We're going to go with the MFS. So that brings us to the championship matchup, which would pin I believe this is a matchup of last year's final. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. MFS versus Salisbury?
That is correct.
And last year, MFS took home the trophy. This year, somebody is going to claim themselves atop the Stickball Mountain, if you will, as the only 4-time Fountain Hill Stickball champion. Who's it going to be, Alex? MFS or Salisbury?
I MFS is the one that comes to mind here, but I was speaking to Matty Yu, their captain, earlier today, and he reminded me that they've only won on odd years, right? So they've never won on an even number ending year, and it's 2022. So if you believe in those coincidences and conspiracies and things like that, I think Salisbury Falcons still have enough juice left in the tank. I think that they might have a little bit more of an easier ride to the championship this year than MFS, just by the means of you don't know what you're going to expect from CBL and what us, the Hillers or Gooseman, are going to have left by the time we get to the semifinals. So I think Salisbury Falcons pulled out this year, and I think that they find themselves on the top of the mountain when it comes to Fountain Hill Stickball champions here.
That would be something. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on the CBL, the Liberty baseball team. Salisbury's going to have a tough matchup against them at 2:00. But in any case, we're all there for fun. We're all there to support the education fund that we've done for so many years. And I'm going to give a quick shout out here to the sponsors. Alex, anything else before we move on and give one last thank you to all these sponsors?
Yeah, just a reminder, we're bringing back the 50/50 raffle this upcoming year. So be on the lookout for anybody who is, going around selling raffle tickets. Our snack stand will be open again. We do have a little bit of a slushy surprise this year, as we're going to have a slushy machine available and selling delicious frozen treats at a snack stand. But I just want everybody to remember what we do this for, and as much as it is a competition and we love going against each other, just remember it is still a family affair. We want everybody to go out and have a good time and enjoy themselves, and pray that this rain stays away that we're seeing in the forecast. And again, we've been lucky over the years to have really, really good weather, and I think that probably is Joni and Michael Gold looking over us, making sure that we get those clear skies on Classic Day. So we're a couple days away here, little things that we still have to iron out before the big day, but we're all looking forward to it for the 14th year here.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more. And we've had some phenomenal luck, knock on wood, with the weather for all these years. We might have had one real rain out, but we'll see what happens. We'll make a fun day of it regardless. But again, quick shout out to the sponsors: the Airlie Point Yacht Charters, BF Brown, Bikers Against Bullies, Blackbird Farms, Chopfin Rolls and Bowls. That's a fun one to say. Who is Chopfin Rolls and Bowls, Alex? I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
So that is Steve Kilroy, who owns the Primo Hoagies in Allentown, Chuckstertown, and Easton. He opened up a poke bowl shop. So
awesome.
He does, sushi burritos and things like that. So it's
nice.
Really awesome.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I'll definitely make it there for some rolls and bowls. And we got Fiesta Pizza, Hanover Township Memorial Golf Tournament, Iron City Construction, Justice Works Youth Care, Liberty Abstract Company, Party Tents by Marty, Presley's Cocktail Bar, Primo Hoagies, Shabam Associates, Talio Tavern, The Durson Network, The Goose, MFS Stickball Franchise, Sports Corner Steel Pub, Zest Bar and Grill, and last but not least, Moe's Pizza. So, and Alex, thank you for all the hard work you put in each and every year and have been doing for all these years, and all the volunteers who come out also. I think, we always thank them as well, whether it's pre-classic, setting up the fence, post-classic, taking it down, cleaning up all the garbage, or just helping out throughout the day. And then last but not least, obviously, all the players who come out and play each and every year. We greatly appreciate it. It's become, I don't think it's out of bounds to say it's become a bit of a Fountain Hill reunion. People come back to town for it, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody this year. Alex, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you Saturday, and everybody else will see you Saturday as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Durson Network. If you haven't done so yet, what are you waiting for? We'll see you Saturday.